Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a fascinating political story from Kansas, where a proposed constitutional amendment to directly elect state Supreme Court justices was soundly rejected by voters. This is a big deal, and it's got a lot of people talking. So let's break it down. First off, let's talk about the context. Kansas has been a battleground for conservative and progressive forces in recent years, especially when it comes to issues like abortion rights. The state Supreme Court has been ruling in favor of progressive causes, including the protection of abortion rights, which has not sat well with some conservative groups. Now, onto the amendment itself. The idea was to give Kansas voters more direct control over the selection of their state Supreme Court justices. Instead of the governor appointing justices from a nonpartisan commission, the amendment would have allowed voters to directly elect them in partisan races. This change was proposed by the GOP-controlled Legislature and backed by some conservative groups. But here's where it gets interesting. The campaign to pass this amendment was incredibly expensive, with over $12 million spent on airtime alone. And get this, opponents of the amendment outspent supporters by more than 2-1. So what's the big deal? Well, it turns out that Kansas voters already have a say in who their state Supreme Court justices are. After justices are appointed, they face retention votes from voters after 1 year and then every 6 years afterward. This system, while not perfect, ensures that the judiciary remains somewhat insulated from direct political influence. And that's a good thing, according to many legal experts and political analysts. One of the main arguments against the amendment was the potential for partisan influence in the judiciary. In states like Wisconsin, where Supreme Court elections are nonpartisan in name only, they've drawn tens of millions of dollars in attention from billionaire donors. The concern is that direct election could lead to a more politicized judiciary, which goes against the principles of judicial impartiality. Supporters of the amendment, on the other hand, argued that voters should have more input in the process. They claimed that the current system allows elites to decide who sits on the Supreme Court behind closed doors, trading favors and rewarding friends. But here's the thing. The amendment didn't address the elephant in the room, which is abortion rights. Despite the lack of direct mention in the ads, Democratic operatives in Kansas made it clear that the intent of the measure was to pave the way for anti-abortion justices. State Attorney General Chris Kobach, a former Kansas Secretary of State, had called for a similar measure as far back as 2019, suggesting that direct election would allow for the placement of anti-abortion justices on the court. And that's where the real controversy lies. Progressives argued that Republicans chose to put the measure on the August primary ballot, rather than the November general election, to take advantage of lower voter turnout. It's a strategic move that could have significant implications for the future of the state's judiciary. In my opinion, this whole situation raises some deeper questions about the role of the judiciary in a democratic society. Should the judiciary be insulated from direct political influence, or should voters have more say in the selection process? And what does this mean for issues like abortion rights, which are often at the heart of these debates? Personally, I think that finding a balance between judicial independence and democratic accountability is crucial. We need a judiciary that can make impartial decisions, but we also need a system that allows for public input and oversight. It's a delicate balance, and it's one that we need to continue to discuss and debate. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.